I'm Samantha Chiappa. This is my 5th year of teaching at Guilford. I wrote this grant 2 years ago, but we didn't actually get to implement it until just last year. The grant is called Trout in the Classroom. It is a nationwide program that runs in conjunction with the DEEP, as well as a group called Trout Unlimited, which is a nonprofit organization who is all focused on the well-being of trout habitat and really any migratory fish species. The grant, like I said, approved 2 years ago. We put it into practice last year. It's still something we're going to be doing it this year. We haven't actually started yet, but we will be, and hopefully for the foreseeable future is the goal. So the program, as a basic overview, is the DEEP provides us with a grouping of eggs, about 200 trout eggs in the fall, so we'll get them right before Thanksgiving. And the students raise these eggs, allow them to hatch, monitor the water quality, feed them, care for them, and then in May we release them in a local habitat. So last year, and probably continuing, we released them in Bittner Park in the West River. If you can see here, I just love these pictures. We were able to use a cool digital microscope to take a look at these guys a little closer up. We hit a little road bump initially where if you look at the top picture, those are 2 trout eggs. The one on the left has a little fungal infection that came from the hatchery itself, so I like to not blame Guilford High School students for the failure of a few of the eggs, but we did have some success. The second picture that's called a trout alvin. They are feeding off of their yolk sac for a few months. They don't require any food or care during that time, which is awesome because it carries us right through the holidays. So I don't have to come in over Christmas break to feed the trout, which is prime. So that's great. But then by the time we get back, they're large enough to be released into the tank. They're ready to be fed, and the water quality is ready to be monitored. And that's where my students really come in. There's not a lot to be done with the trout leading up to that point because they're kind of just hanging out on their own. They can't be exposed to UV light, so they're kept in the dark. We can peek at them through a little window in the tank, but for the most part, we kind of leave them alone. But after we get back and they're large enough, the students start doing daily water quality testing. They do take data on the temperature, any casualties that we've had. They note the size of the trout, things of that nature. We keep a record of it in Google Classroom so we can see the changes over the course of the year. And then in May, like I said, we release them. Here's just a picture of the setup up in my classroom. The one in the upper left-hand corner shows how it's all insulated. The brook trout live in about 50 to 55 degree water, so we can't have it uninsulated or else it'll just condense constantly and waste a ton of energy keeping it cold. So that's why we keep it kind of closed up. But once they're released, in that second picture, we're able to take off the front panel so we can get a really good look at them. One of the things that I felt was a great impact was really just, I do this as part of the environmental science course, which is relatively new to the high school. This is only the 3rd year that we've been doing this class. And I thought that this program would be a great way to really connect students to wildlife, to their watershed, to the habitat that they live in, because I think it's really easy to remove yourself from that and not remember that other organisms thrive here just like we do. And so part of my goal was to really get the students to really feel that connection to their watershed. And I think particularly when we go out into the field in the spring to release them, I really get to see that, which is amazing. This here is our trout. Yes, I got my swimming video. They're swimming around there. So it's great because even though environmental science is the focus for the program, there's classes in that classroom all day long. Biology's in there. We have geophysical science, the freshman courses, and it gives all the students an opportunity to really see these animals, feel a connection to it, get excited. I remember actually Mr. Barron teaches in that classroom, and I would come in, and his freshmen would be like, oh, the trout, they're so excited, and they weren't even really that involved with it, but just seeing it and having it in the classroom was enough to spark their interest and get them excited. And I think for me that was one of the most exciting parts about this program. So you can see our eggs developing there. The first pictures when we first got them, and then the bottom picture there is once they were pretty much developed, and once they were swimming like that, that's how you know it's time to release them into the tank when they can free swim in the water column. So that kind of was like all right, time to let them go. So here's the fieldwork component. Like I said, my favorite part of this program. So we went out to Bittner Park for on two different trips. The first one, they actually did a quality analysis of the stream. So we tested stream flow, water quality. We collected, what you can see them doing there is collecting macroinvertebrates. So we overturned rocks and knocked up the bottom and collected all of these little organisms, looked at a chart to compare which organisms grow in which quality of water, and actually this year we're hopefully going to bring some of those back and throw them in the tank. I didn't know we could do that the first year, and then the trout guys were like, what do you mean you didn't bring them back? So hopefully this year we'll bring some back and put them in the tank to, I don't know, keep the trout company. But the students love it too because it is one of the only opportunities to really do scientific field work. You know, we do take some of the environmental science classes out to just our little patch of woods between here and CO North, but it's great to really get students outside to do some of those skills, especially if they hope to pursue natural resources studies in the future. So that was one of my, favorite parts of this. You know, they're working as a team. They're communicating with each other. I am pretty limitedly involved at this point. They're doing their thing, and it's a great thing to see. Just a few more pictures of the students out there mucking around in their boots. I do think that it's really increased their understanding of watersheds, pollution. This year I'm really hoping to do a little bit more with making some changes to the water, taking samples of the water from the tank, contaminating it, obviously not exposing the fish to that, but just so that the students can get an understanding of how contaminants change water quality and how that would affect our fish and our trout. I was actually just looking into maybe trying to coordinate a field trip to the actual hatchery where we get our eggs so they can see it on a really, really large scale, and just implementing more lessons and activities that kind of relate to this. My first year was a little bit of a trial and error, getting the feel for things, and now that we've really got it down, I'm excited to continue to add more, student learning, more lesson plans, etc. So my final thoughts. I absolutely love this program. I've been really enjoying it. It's been challenging, but it's been exciting for the students, and it's been exciting for me. I know that my students love it, just based on their reactions every day, and I hope that I can continue keeping this program around, every year from now until, I don't know, forever. Thank you.